What happened to the iconic cast of Fawlty Towers after the curtains closed on their chaotic yet beloved hotel? While the show brought them fame, some faced challenges that altered their paths in unforeseen ways. Fast forward to 2025, we take you through their stories of triumph, setbacks, and where their journeys have led them today. From personal transformations to remarkable new beginnings, uncover the compelling destinies of these comedy legends. John Cleese, who portrayed the neurotic and bombastic hotel owner Basil Fawlty in Fawlty Towers, was 36 years old when the series first aired in 1975. His sharp wit and physical comedy helped define this show as a British classic, with Basil's constant frustration and social pretensions becoming iconic. Despite his immense success in comedy, Cleese's personal life was marked by emotional turmoil. He was married 4 times, including a brief but turbulent marriage to co-star Connie Booth, with whom he had 1 daughter, Cynthia. His later marriages, to Barbara Trentham, Alice Faye Eichelberger, and Jennifer Wade, were riddled with conflict, particularly his acrimonious divorce from Eichelberger, which resulted in one of the most expensive settlements in British celebrity history. Cleese often described his relationships as emotionally exhausting and admitted to long bouts of depression, especially after the death of his sister in the 1990s and his estrangement from some family members. Though still alive at 85, Cleese now lives reclusively in the Caribbean, far from the media spotlight he once embraced. His health is reportedly fragile, and he spends his days reading philosophy and reflecting on a life filled with both fame and regret. His estate is currently valued at approximately $8 million, a sum diminished by multiple divorces and legal battles. Andrew Sachs, who famously played the bumbling and endearing Spanish waiter Manuel in Fawlty Towers, was 45 when the show aired. His portrayal brought warmth and slapstick charm to the otherwise acerbic world of the series. Off-screen, Sachs struggled to be taken seriously as an actor after Manuel's success, often typecast in comedic roles that limited his career options. He married Melody Lang, a stage actress, and the two remained together for over 5 decades, though their marriage faced tension due to his fading career and her declining health. They had 1 son, John, whose battle with addiction in the 1980s strained the family bond. Sachs experienced a series of personal tragedies. His home was destroyed in a fire in 2001, he lost a close friend to suicide, and he was publicly humiliated during a notorious prank phone call scandal involving his granddaughter. Sachs was diagnosed with vascular dementia in 2012 and spent his final years in a care facility, unable to recognize his family. He died on November 23, 2016, at the age of 86, in what many close to him called a quiet and heartbreaking decline. His estate was estimated at around $600,000, most of which went to his wife, who passed away shortly afterward. Connie Booth, who portrayed the intelligent and kind-hearted waitress Polly Sherman in Fawlty Towers, was 31 when she brought the role to life. Her calm demeanor provided a necessary counterbalance to the chaos surrounding Basil Fawlty. Booth, who also co-wrote the series with her then-husband John Cleese, left acting in the mid-1990s to become a psychotherapist, signaling a decisive break from the industry that brought her fame. Her marriage to Cleese was short-lived and fraught with creative and personal conflict, though they remained civil afterward. Booth later remarried, tying the knot with theater critic John Lahr, with whom she had no children. Despite outward appearances of success, Booth reportedly battled chronic depression and feelings of artistic failure, believing her potential was overshadowed by Cleese's towering presence in British comedy. She struggled with agoraphobia in her later years and rarely made public appearances. Now 81, she lives a quiet life in London, largely isolated from the public eye and reportedly estranged from many former colleagues. Her estate is valued at approximately $1.5 million, though much of her wealth was invested in trust funds and modest charitable ventures. Prunella Scales, who played the sharp-tongued and domineering Sybil Fawlty, was 43 when the series aired. Her portrayal added a biting edge of realism to the show's comedic landscape, making her character both exasperating and oddly sympathetic. Scales had a long and respectable acting career, though the shadow of Fawlty Towers followed her into every role. She married fellow actor Timothy West, and the two had 2 sons, one of whom, Samuel West, also became an actor. Their marriage, though long-lasting, was marked by emotional distance and separate lives, especially as Scales's health declined. She was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in 2014, a condition that slowly robbed her of her ability to speak and recognize loved ones. Before her diagnosis, she confessed to close friends that she often felt overlooked and overused, hinting at personal dissatisfaction despite her fame. Several personal tragedies haunted her life, including the early death of a sibling, the suicide of a close friend, and persistent rumors of her husband's infidelity. Now 93, Scales resides in a private care facility in England, surrounded by memorabilia from her acting days. Her estate is currently estimated at $2 million, much of which is being managed in a trust for her care and eventual distribution to her family. Ballard Berkeley, who portrayed Major Gowan in Fawlty Towers, was 71 years old when he played the bumbling and oblivious retired military officer whose outdated views often clashed comically with the rest of the precinct. While he brought levity and charm to the role, Berkeley's off-screen life was marked by heartbreak and solitude. He married theater actress Isabel Draycott in 1942, but their marriage deteriorated following the stillbirth of their only child, a tragedy from which they never emotionally recovered. The couple separated in the late 1950s, though they never officially divorced. Berkeley battled deep depression, worsened by the decline of stage roles in the 1960s and the death of close friend Alastair Sim. Though beloved by fans, Berkeley felt typecast and trapped by his late-career comedic roles, longing to be remembered for his Shakespearean work. He spent his final years mostly alone in a modest London flat, quietly supporting a charity for bereaved parents. He passed away from a heart attack on January 16, 1988, at the age of 83. At the time of his death, his estate was valued at approximately £400,000, much of which was left to a local theatre preservation fund. Bernard Cribbins, who appeared as the overbearing Mr. Hutchinson in Fawlty Towers at age 46, brought an intense, comedic tension to the precinct with his character's fast-talking, intrusive behavior. Though his brief appearance delighted viewers, Cribbins often spoke of feeling overlooked as a serious actor, overshadowed by his comic persona. In 1955, he married actress Gillian Hartley, and together they adopted 2 children, Stephen and Lorna. Behind closed doors, however, the marriage was plagued by distance, exacerbated by Cribbins' long absences and Hartley's struggles with alcoholism. Lorna tragically died of an overdose in 1983, a loss that shattered the family. Cribbins never fully recovered, withdrawing from the spotlight for over a decade. Though he returned to acting in later years, he often cited his time on Barney Miller as a reminder of unfulfilled potential. He died on July 28, 2022, at the age of 93 from natural causes. His estate, valued around £2.5 million, was largely passed to Stephen and charities supporting mental health in the arts community. Michael Gwynne, known for portraying the suave but deceitful Lord Melbury in Fawlty Towers at age 54, played the aristocratic conman with polished menace and charm. The role became a fan favorite, yet Gwynne himself loathed being remembered for it. Privately, he suffered from severe anxiety and imposter syndrome, often doubting his worth in the industry. He married costume designer Eleanor Brett in 1950, and they had 3 daughters, Charlotte, Alice, and Marianne. But the marriage unraveled in the early 70s when Gwynne's drinking became unmanageable. A brief affair with a much younger co-star accelerated the family's disintegration. In 1975, shortly after filming Barney Miller, Gwynne was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease. The diagnosis sent him into a downward spiral, isolating himself and refusing further acting work. He died less than a year later, on January 29, 1976, at just 55 years old. At the time of his death, his estate was modest, estimated at £150,000, most of which went to settling personal debts and providing for his estranged daughters. André Marin portrayed the soft-spoken, often unnoticed Mr. Lehman in Fawlty Towers at age 51, a character meant to disappear into the background, much like Marin felt his own career had. Born in France, Marin longed for acclaim in European cinema but never found the recognition he craved. He married British author Jeanette Lovell in 1961, and they had one son, Julian, who tragically died in a car accident at age 19. The grief fractured their marriage, leading to a quiet, unofficial separation in the early 80s. Marin developed agoraphobia in later years, seldom leaving his Surrey cottage. Though he was occasionally invited to conventions or retrospectives, he declined, fearing public scrutiny and feelings of irrelevance. He lived reclusively, surrounded by books and a few loyal pets. Marin died on April 12, 2021, at age 94, from complications related to pneumonia. His estate, valued at approximately £900,000, was left to his niece and a French-language literacy charity he supported quietly throughout his life. Geoffrey Palmer, who portrayed the stern yet absent-minded Dr. Price in Fawlty Towers, was 52 years old when he appeared in the 1979 episode. His delivery, dry, clipped, and quintessentially British, added a layer of believable frustration to his role. Though Palmer later found continued success in shows like As Time Goes By, his personal life told a sadder tale. Married once to playwright Judith Mason, the couple had 2 children, Thomas and Eleanor. Despite the outward image of a stable marriage, Palmer spent many years emotionally distant, caught in the throes of undiagnosed depression. The strain eventually led to a quiet divorce in 1987. Though he maintained a cordial relationship with his children, he often lamented missing their formative years. His later career was slowed by health issues and battles with insomnia and loneliness. By the time of his death in 2020 at age 93, he was living alone in a modest cottage in Buckinghamshire, having sold off most of his assets in the 2000s. Though beloved by fans, Palmer struggled with feelings of professional inadequacy and a quiet fear he'd been typecast. His estate was estimated at £850,000, a modest sum for a man whose wit and charm once lit up the screen. Bruce Boa took on the role of Mr. Hamilton, the surly American guest in Fawlty Towers, at the age of 47 in 1979. Known for his gruff voice and assertive presence, Boa perfectly embodied the brash, no-nonsense businessman clashing with British politeness. Though a frequent guest star in British television, his career never soared beyond secondary roles, and that ate at him deeply. He married Canadian dancer Lorraine Keswick in 1965, and they had one son, Michael. But Bruce's fiery temper and long absences led to a bitter separation in the late 70s, and an eventual divorce that left him estranged from both wife and child. He spent the 1980s drinking heavily and moving between small roles and voiceover work. A failed attempt at reviving his career in North America left him nearly bankrupt. His health deteriorated by the mid-1990s, worsened by chronic emphysema and heart problems. He died in Surrey on April 17, 2004, at age 73, in a rented flat, having long outlived the fame he once knew. His will revealed an estate worth under £200,000, with most of it left to a charity for war veterans, a cause he quietly supported, haunted by a brother lost in World War II. Nicky Henson, who played the charming, motorcycle-riding Mr. Johnson in Fawlty Towers at just 34, was the embodiment of smooth charisma. His role in the iconic episode, The Psychiatrist, remains one of the most memorable in the series, thanks to his quick wit and roguish appeal. But behind the scenes, Henson's life was riddled with complications. Married first to actress Una Stubbs, the couple had 2 sons, Christian and Joe, but the marriage dissolved under the weight of Nicky's infidelities and his growing addiction to cocaine. He later married ballerina Marguerite Porter, with whom he had another son, Keaton, but that union too was troubled, ending in separation after a decade. Despite appearing in various TV roles, his career never reached the heights he had envisioned, and he spent many years battling self-doubt and substance abuse. Diagnosed with cancer in 2003, he underwent years of treatment, though the illness returned repeatedly. By the time of his death in 2019 at age 74, Henson had made peace with some of his family, but his legacy remained complicated. His estate, valued at approximately £350,000, was left equally to his 3 sons, along with a letter of apology he'd written years before his death, hoping to repair what time had strained. Joan Sanderson, who portrayed the hard-of-hearing and hilariously impossible Mrs. Richards in Fawlty Towers, was 67 when she took on the role in 1979. Her performance was a masterclass in comic timing, dry, fussy, and endlessly quotable. Yet few knew the depths of sadness that shadowed her personal life. A lifelong bachelorette, Sanderson had been briefly engaged in the 1940s to actor Peter Hargraves, who was killed in an accident just weeks before their wedding. She never married, instead channeling her energy into the stage and radio. She was known for her biting wit off-screen, but privately struggled with deep feelings of loneliness and anxiety. Her relationship with her siblings was strained by decades-old inheritance disputes, and she died without having reconciled. In the early 90s, her health began to falter after a series of strokes. She passed away in London on May 24, 1992, at the age of 79, in a care home with no immediate family by her side. Her estate was valued at £420,000, most of which was bequeathed to a trust supporting aging theatre performers, a quiet nod to the world that had given her joy, and yet never fully loved her back. John Quarmby, who played the stern and meticulous health inspector Mr. Carnegie on Fawlty Towers in 1979, was 50 years old when he appeared in the role. Known for his dry wit and imposing presence, Quarmby brought a bureaucratic sharpness to the character, often clashing with the easygoing chaos of the precinct. Despite his screen presence, Quarmby's off-screen life was far more complex. He married British stage actress Eleanor Hartley in 1961, but their relationship was marred by long separations and emotional distance. They had 2 sons, Daniel and Peter, both of whom became estranged from their father in later years. After Barney Miller, Quarmby struggled to find meaningful roles, often reduced to small, forgettable appearances in lesser-known series. Financial instability plagued him through the 1980s, and he declared bankruptcy in 1989. Plagued by depression and chronic health issues, including a battle with macular degeneration, he withdrew from the public eye. He passed away on April 5, 2019, at the age of 89, alone in a modest flat in London. His estate was valued at just $150,000, much of it coming from a late-in-life inheritance from a distant cousin. Despite the public's brief affection for his television work, Quarmby died with little fanfare, survived by his sons but mourned mostly by a few close friends from his theater days. David Kelly, who brought chaotic charm to Mr. O'Reilly, the famously unreliable builder in Fawlty Towers, was 46 years old when he played the part in 1975. His portrayal of the Irish handyman, always skirting responsibility, earned laughs but also typecast him into eccentric, comedic roles. Off-screen, Kelly's life bore deep scars. Married to Irish actress Laurie Morton, their union was tested by his long absences and emotional unavailability. They had 1 daughter, Maureen, who later distanced herself from the entertainment industry, and from her father. After Barney Miller, Kelly returned to Ireland and struggled to gain the same fame he had known in the US. The 1980s were marked by a series of professional disappointments, and in 1992 he suffered a breakdown following the failure of a one-man show he had written. His health deteriorated quickly, exacerbated by heavy drinking and untreated diabetes. In the last decade of his life, Kelly was known to wander Dublin streets in a long coat, muttering old lines to himself. He passed away on February 12, 2012, at the age of 82 from pneumonia and complications related to diabetes. His estate, largely managed by his estranged daughter, was worth approximately $300,000, including royalties from his sporadic appearances in British TV. He died quietly, mostly forgotten by the industry that once embraced him. Robin Ellis took on the role of Mr. Lloyd, a minor but memorable figure in Fawlty Towers, at the age of 33 in 1975. Known for his quiet intensity and subtle delivery, Ellis had a natural gift for inhabiting complex characters. Though Barney Miller gave him some exposure in American television, he never found stable footing in Hollywood. Instead, Ellis returned to the UK, where his career quickly faltered amid a highly competitive theatre scene. Married in 1978 to costume designer Helen Sayer, the couple had no children, and their relationship was strained by Robin's long-term battle with bipolar disorder. Ellis's erratic behavior led to multiple hospitalizations and a divorce in 1993. In the late 1990s, he attempted a comeback with a one-man Shakespeare tour across Europe, but poor reception and financial losses forced him into early retirement. He currently lives in relative seclusion in the south of France at age 81, where he writes memoirs no publisher has yet accepted. His days are quiet, spent tending a modest vineyard and reading old scripts aloud to himself. Despite the enduring cult status of Barney Miller, Ellis remains a forgotten figure. His estate is modest, valued at around $250,000, largely tied to his rural property. He is remembered by few, yet his portrayal of Lloyd remains a small, enduring piece of 1970s television history. Who is your favorite character from Fawlty Towers? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.